Thank you, Umesh. This is possibly the last session, but obviously not the
Abhishek,
least.
don't say possibly. This is certainly the last session before we have the vote of thanks from Ajit.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So this is the last session, guys. And I think this will be end of an amazing day from all of you, who have made this possible. But last is definitely I have always saved the last for the best for the last. So Umesh is an amazing entrepreneur who stays behind the curtain. He does not want to come out most of the times. And but today I have pulled him out to talk about a lot of interesting terms that you hear every day. Data, big data, data analytics, IoT, machine learning, AI. So just some time back, Madhu spoke about how Amazon provides a platform to kind of leverage these technologies which are which has already been made by them. So we will now try to understand the practical implication for your business, how you can use all these things, on a day-to-day basis. So, Umesh, can you briefly explain in layman's language how all of these things come together?
Abhishek, as you quite rightly said, there's every time we use these keywords. So what I'm going to try to do, this is the way you see a triangle they've mentioned there. I use a matrix in which we decide how all of these come together. The step one or first step is the way in which you acquire data. Second is the process in which you communicate. Third, storage. Fourth is analytics or visualization. And of course, a sub-part of analytics, the applications we use is artificial intelligence or machine learning. All of these put together contribute to the IoT ecosystem in a sense. But of course, the most important stages are how do we get the data, how do we transfer it, how do we store it, and how do we analyze it. So there are four key essential micro steps to be taking to that. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So I understand that IoT is not just about that small equipment that sits on a particular machine and tries to send some data out of that or automate a particular machine. So it's a complete ecosystem of these four steps. All of them come together to make anything happen, right?
Absolutely. So sensor in itself wouldn't be doing anything. You could have I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with this, but there's something called edge computing. So you might have something which is collecting the data, but it's the sensors collecting the data, but there's something in the processing which processes the data as and when it's getting collected, and then obviously instead of transmitting data, it transmits insights. And in some of the cases where we don't need the processing to be done on the edge, it's done on the cloud where only raw data is kind of passed on. Yeah.
So you have done some amazing work in energy data analytics, and I think you already use the Amazon platform that we were talking about some time back. Let's not get too much in technology. Let's try to understand. You also talk about a concept called data indigestion. I have seen multiple videos of yours where you talk about data indigestion. I know what is about food indigestion. Can you please tell me a little bit about what is data indigestion?
I think fundamentally when you've seen the cost of the sensors over a period of years has come so dramatically down that we have been acquiring a lot of data. And I think we have become, not just in terms of acquisition of data, but as Madhu from AWS was saying, that the cost of services to communicate, store the data has so dramatically come down that we've been able to gather a lot of data. But where we have failed, and we continue to fail as a business community, is being able to make kind of insights out of it, or as in technical, non-technical terms we say, we've not been able to monetize data. And that's what we normally call it as a data ingestion crisis. There's a stat from McKinsey Global Institute, and it says that majority of the investments done by enterprises, only 30% of those investments really give the kind of benefit that the enterprises look for. 70% kind of go underutilized. So that's a huge market in itself. Not to mention the kind of investments that would go in acquiring further data. That's just going to widen the market further.
Wow. Wow. So again, let's talk about a little bit about, there are small manufacturing companies, large manufacturing companies in the room, and, some real estate companies. So how can these businesses benefit from it? Let's not talk about the Tata Motors and the large enterprises in the world, but how can these small to mid-sized businesses benefit from, the data analytics and IoT?
I think Madhu in one of the slides mentioned very aptly that everything is an application. The first step that any organization, big or small, needs to find out what is the problem that they are looking at solving. So if you are able to articulate that well, then that's the first step in trying to kind of go ahead and use it. There are different applications. So for example, when I was talking earlier this morning, in terms of small, medium enterprises, when you look at foundry or forging, sectors that were doing amazingly well a few years back, but of course, they're facing a lot of challenges. So as Madhu mentioned, they could probably use data analytics to be able to do their operations better, cut down their cost, improve productivity, maintain quality. So these are some of the advantages that small, medium scale enterprises can have. And as far as real estate or integrated facility management services are concerned, the opportunity for them is multifold, not just to be able to cut down the cost of operations, but actually be able to go on, engage with their clients and sell more services, which I think for most of us in the room is a challenge. How do we drive greater revenue per customer? So all of that can be driven with data and the insights we generate from them.
So what should be the first step for the companies, to kind of benefit and leverage this advantage? What should they do next if they go home today and if they want to see some benefit out of data, some benefit out of IoT? What should they do next?
I think there's a presentation that's available on SlideShare. Post this, I might as well share the link. But the 5 key things that I say before you decide to go in with a full-blown investment on analytics or IoT. One is to list down the problem statements. They could be one, they could be many. Second is to flirt with the idea, run a proof of value, and not go ahead with a full-blown implementation. Third, once you were able to do a proof of value, a small project, sit down with all the stakeholders within the organization, big or small again, and run through them, because when you look at leveraging data, it very much exposes a very thin line between people and process. And hence, if you are really, like with any other digital transformation project, even analytics, you really need to have all the people on board. And once you've been able to do that, fourth step is a very critical step, is to date with vendors. You have a lot of vendors with different capabilities. Some might be amazing, but they might not be good for you because they don't do or solve the problem that you're looking at. So that's fundamentally important. And once you have done that, sorted who you're going to be working with, the fifth step is to be able to think big, start small, start in phases and implement that. And if you can do that, if an organization, again, big or small, can do that, they're going to be fairly successful with their data analytics or IoT strategy implementation.
Fantastic. So I think we have got some very, very decent, nice insights about, that IoT data analytics is not just for the big ones, and I think it does not need billions of dollars of investment to get started. You can start small, start gathering data from your existing assets and, existing systems, analyze it, benefit from it, and then reinvest it and keep growing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a myth and there's a notion that whenever people talk about Internet of Things, and again, I go back to the reference of Madhu, and he mentioned, of course, the economies of scale do come into perspective when he talks about X dollar per customer. It's the number of customers you have also becomes important. But when it comes to small and medium scale enterprises, as you rightly said, Abhishek, it is not important for you to invest thousands of dollars to start with it. You can obviously start small and then gradually make it big. And we are seeing that happening in India, that there are organizations who are waking up to it, investing small amounts, seeing benefits, and then further scaling up their investments on that. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much, Umesh. I think this insight was quite valuable. I think this was quite a long day of deliberation. I don't want to kind of extend it further. I think this was quite interesting for you to understand how data, IoT, all these things are coming together to enable you to run your business better, faster, cheaper, as you always say. Thank you so much, Umesh. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Abhishek, and thanks for the guys who stuck around for the entire day. And again, like Madhu, I would like to give a shout out to everyone at IndusNet Technologies for having pulled off the event that you have been able to pull off. Keep doing it, and I hope that you do a 2-day event in 2019. Thank you so much, everyone.